In the heart of one of the world's most glamorous cities, where the skyline sparkles against the Pacific Ocean, a silent inferno unleashed devastation on a scale few could imagine. Within days, neighborhoods were reduced to ash, iconic landmarks shrouded in choking smoke, and families fled with little more than the clothes on their backs. But the most staggering detail, the financial cost, $150 billion. That's more than the GDP of over 120 countries combined. This isn't just a wildfire, it's an economic catastrophe rewriting the history books. The Los Angeles wildfires of recent years have not only reshaped the landscape of Southern California, but have left an indelible mark on its economy. The financial fallout is unprecedented, from the destruction of multi-million-dollar homes and vital infrastructure to the ripple effects felt in industries like tourism, real estate and insurance. This story of resilience, recovery and the staggering price tag of a disaster continues to define a region and challenge its future. Flames sparked on an ordinary afternoon, their origins traced back to a downed power line in a remote canyon, a seemingly minor incident that quickly spiraled out of control. Fueled by relentless Santa Ana winds gusting at over 60 miles per hour, the fire roared across dry terrain that hadn't seen rain in months. Within hours, it jumped highways, spread through parched hillsides, and ignited neighborhoods that had once seemed untouchable. From Malibu's coastal mansions to the densely packed suburbs of the San Fernando Valley, the fire spared nothing in its path. For 10 harrowing days, the blaze consumed the region, defying the efforts of nearly 10,000 firefighters who battled around the clock. Entire communities were evacuated, as more than 2 million residents lived under the threat of destruction. The fire's reach was relentless, tearing through 1.3 million acres of land, an area larger than the state of Rhode Island. Smoke plumes rose so high they were visible from space, casting an eerie haze over the city and causing air quality to plummet to hazardous levels. The devastation was staggering. Nearly 12,000 structures, homes, schools and businesses were reduced to rubble. In neighborhoods like Agoura Hills and Calabasas, rows of houses that had once lined peaceful streets were replaced by blackened ruins. Iconic landmarks, such as the historic Paramount Ranch, which had stood for nearly a century, were wiped from existence. The human toll was equally heart-wrenching. 89 lives were lost, many of whom were unable to escape the fast-moving flames. Thousands more were injured or left homeless, their futures uncertain as they sifted through the ashes of their former lives. The economic scars left by the Los Angeles wildfires run deep, with direct property damage accounting for a significant portion of the staggering $150 billion price tag. Affluent neighborhoods like Malibu and Pacific Palisades, known for their multi-million-dollar homes overlooking the Pacific Ocean, saw unimaginable destruction. Entire gated communities were leveled, with properties worth $10 million or more reduced to little more than piles of ash. Commercial buildings fared no better. Shopping centers, office spaces, and boutique stores in places like Thousand Oaks and Westlake Village were obliterated, leaving countless business owners without a place to operate. For many, rebuilding in these high-value areas will take years, if not decades, as reconstruction costs rise with every month. The damage wasn't confined to private properties. The fire left a trail of destruction across critical public infrastructure. Highways like the 101 and PCH were closed for days, cutting off vital transportation routes and isolating entire communities. Utility networks were decimated, with power outages plunging neighborhoods into darkness and leaving over 1 million people without electricity. Communication towers burned, severing phone and internet services at a time when emergency information was needed most. The cost of repairing and replacing this infrastructure is astronomical, adding yet another burden to local governments that have already stretched thin. Beyond the flames, the economic ripple effects were felt across industries. Los Angeles, a global entertainment and tourism hub, saw major attractions like Warner Brothers, Studio Tour Hollywood, and Universal Studios Hollywood shut their doors as the fires encroached. Tourists cancelled trips, hotels sat empty, and restaurants reliant on the steady influx of visitors were forced to close temporarily. For small businesses, the disruptions meant lost revenue during what should have been peak tourist season, pushing many to the brink of permanent closure. Even larger corporations with more resources to fall back on reported significant financial losses as operations stopped. The impact on public health added another layer of cost. Emergency rooms in Los Angeles County were inundated with cases of smoke inhalation, respiratory distress, and burn injuries. The delicate particulate matter in the smoke caused long-term health complications for thousands, particularly among children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing conditions like asthma. The immediate and future medical expenses are estimated to run into the billions. Additionally, the emotional toll on survivors led to a surge in mental health treatment, with therapy and counseling services stretched to capacity. The strain on the insurance industry is unparalleled. With insured losses projected to exceed $20 billion, companies are scrambling to process claims at an unprecedented rate. Many homeowners already devastated by their losses face delays and denials as insurers struggle to balance their bottom lines. This record-breaking wave of claims has led to rising premiums across the state, affecting even those not directly impacted by the fires. In the housing market, the devastation has created a supply and demand crisis. Thousands of displaced families are searching for temporary housing, driving rental prices sky high. In some areas, rents have spiked by 20%, pushing even middle-class residents out of their communities. Instances of price gouging have been reported, with landlords exploiting the desperate need for housing despite California's price gouging laws. This surge in rental costs, combined with the financial burden of rebuilding, has left many without a clear path forward, reshaping the socio-economic fabric of entire neighborhoods. California has long been a battleground for wildfires, but the scale and financial impact of the recent Los Angeles fires eclipse even the state's most devastating blazes. Just a few years ago, the 2018 Camp Fire tore through Northern California, obliterating the town of Paradise in a matter of hours. It was then considered the deadliest wildfire in California history, claiming 85 lives and resulting in $12.5 billion in insured damages. Entire blocks of homes and businesses were reduced to rubble, and the fire became a grim benchmark for disaster in the state. However, the Los Angeles wildfires have rewritten the narrative. With a price tag nearly 10 times higher than the Camp Fire, these blazes have ushered in a new era of wildfire destruction, one where the economic fallout threatens entire regions far beyond the burn zones. This isn't an isolated incident. Over the past decade, California has seen a sharp increase in the frequency and intensity of wildfires. Between 2010 and 2020, the state endured an average of 7,000 wildfires annually, but recent years have consistently shattered these figures. Factors such as prolonged droughts, record-breaking heat waves, and wind conditions have created a perfect storm for larger, more destructive fires. The 2017 Thomas Fire, for instance, burned over 280,000 acres and caused more than $2 billion in damages. A year later, the Woolsey Fire engulfed Los Angeles and Ventura counties, destroying nearly 100,000 acres and incurring $6 billion in damages. What once were seasonal occurrences have now become year-round threats, with fire seasons stretching well into winter. Economically, the trend is equally alarming. Wildfire-related costs have skyrocketed over the last decade, straining local economies, insurance companies, and state budgets. The cumulative cost of California wildfires in 2020 alone exceeded $19 billion, and each subsequent year has added billions more to the toll. Scientists and economists warn that these disasters are no longer anomalies but the new normal. The past fires were devastating, but today's wildfires carry a financial weight that threatens to reshape California's future. The state faces a grim reality, with rebuilding costs soaring, insurance companies reeling, and families left in financial ruin. As wildfires grow in size and severity, so will the economic burden they leave behind. The Los Angeles wildfires have illuminated a glaring need for sweeping policy reform. In the wake of such devastation, lawmakers are calling for stricter regulations on urban planning in fire-prone areas. Proposals include limiting new developments in the wildland-urban interface, zones where homes and businesses are dangerously close to highly flammable vegetation. Existing structures in these regions may face new requirements for fire-resistant materials, such as tempered glass and metal roofs, as well as mandatory defensible space around properties. Beyond urban planning, legislators are pushing for increased funding for forest management programs to thin out overgrown vegetation, conduct controlled burns, and reduce the fuel that allows fires to grow uncontrollably. On the technological front, innovation offers a glimmer of hope. Startups and government agencies are developing tools that could revolutionize wildfire detection and suppression. Artificial intelligence-powered systems using satellite imagery and drones are now capable of spotting small fires within minutes of ignition, providing a crucial head start for firefighting efforts. Autonomous firefighting drones, equipped with heat sensors and water delivery systems, are being tested to respond to fires in remote or dangerous areas. Additionally, advancements in predictive analytics allow meteorologists and scientists to create more accurate wildfire risk models, enabling targeted prevention measures before disaster strikes. These technologies, if fully implemented, could save billions of dollars and countless lives in the years ahead. However, no amount of legislation or technology can succeed without public awareness and engagement. Community preparedness is vital in mitigating the impact of future wildfires. Education campaigns are emphasizing the importance of evacuation plans, emergency supply kits, and neighborhood fire drills. Residents are being urged to understand fire warnings and heed evacuation orders promptly to avoid preventable tragedies. Programs like Ready, Set, Go are teaching communities how to clear brush, protect their homes, and identify safe zones before fires approach. By fostering a culture of preparedness, California can empower its citizens to act as the first line of defense in a state increasingly defined by its vulnerability to wildfires. These combined efforts, legislative action, technological advancements, and grassroots education, represent the best chance of breaking the cycle of devastation and rebuilding a more resilient future. The Los Angeles wildfires stand as a grim testament to the devastating power of nature and the staggering economic toll it can inflict. Over $150 billion in damages, thousands of lives uprooted, and an indelible scar left on one of the world's most iconic regions. This disaster is a harrowing reminder of the immense challenges California faces, from the destruction of high-value properties and critical infrastructure to the overwhelming strain on industries, healthcare systems, and the housing market. The ripple effects of this catastrophe will be felt for years, if not decades. But the story doesn't end with destruction. It's a call to action for everyone to play a role in shaping a more resilient future. Supporting wildfire relief efforts is a critical first step. Donations to organizations aiding displaced families, rebuilding communities, and providing mental health services can help mend the wounds left by this tragedy. Beyond immediate relief, advocating for smarter policies, investing in fire prevention technologies, and pushing for sustainable urban development are necessary to ensure that history doesn't repeat itself. Amid the ashes, there is a profound story of resilience. Communities devastated by the flames are already beginning to rebuild, proving that even in the face of unimaginable loss, hope persists. Neighbors have come together to offer shelter, support, and strength to one another. It's a poignant reminder that while the causes of such catastrophic events must be addressed collectively through science, policy, and awareness, the human spirit remains unyielding. As California faces its uncertain future, it carries with it the resilience of its people and the shared responsibility to protect the land they call home.